Welcome everybody. Jordan and I have decided to do an outdoors podcast. Backyard Boys, we're going to do a little bit an informal podcast and kind of add a little bit more to our page and our YouTube page. Today in this first episode of the podcast, we are going to cover who we are, who Jordan is, who I am, and kind of how we got started in the outdoor world. And then we're going to explain our why. Why did we start our Facebook page, and why did we decide to do a YouTube page? And then we're going to go into details about our 2020 turkey season. So with that being said, Jordan, why don't you explain to everybody who you are and how you got into the outdoor world?
What's up, everybody? Josh kind of already introduced me already, but I'm Jordan. Big thing that got me started in the outdoors was probably my dad. Just got me deer hunting at a young age. And after that, things just kind of took off after I was able to do my own thing and got to know Josh. He introduced me to some different hunting, like turkey hunting, and just kept continuing on with that and growing my hunting experience. So,
How old were you when you first started, bud?
I was probably 12, 14, somewhere in there.
12, 14. So what do you, I know what you do, but let the viewers, what do you do for your normal job?
So for my normal job, I work in fire and EMS. So
Nice. Cool. So along those same lines, my dad kind of started me when I was young. However, I started a lot younger than 12. I was already hunting I think we were able to bow hunt 10 back when I first started. So I was bow hunting when I first could bow hunt. But even before then, you know, we had a property that had we had permission to get on that had a bunch of rabbits, and so I would go out back with my dad and my brother, and we'd run beagles. We had beagles, and I had my pellet gun, thinking I was gonna knock down a rabbit with this pellet gun, you know, and so we'd be pushing, but mainly I was the dog, basically, along with the dogs, and I was the one kicking them out. But I also, like I said, I had my pellet gun right there, ready to shoot one if it came out, you know, and so that kind of got me started. And then, like I said, at 10, I started bow hunting, and I was shooting fingers, never shot anything much before. I was shooting those the old time fingers. We used to shoot competition a little bit when we were younger as well, so we'd always shoot fingers. And then it started really picking up when I hit 12, when we could start gun hunting a little bit, and I shot my first buck, and then it kind of all just started from there, you know. And then a couple years later, I shot my first first deer with a bow, and from there I couldn't get any more, man. I had to continue my passion, and I've always been an outdoorsman. I love the water. I fish, I hunt, I do a lot of stuff. So when I'm not doing that, I'm a teacher. I'm a phys ed teacher. I teach K6 right now, and that's probably what I'll retire in. I wish I could retire in outdoor world, but that's not going to happen. So
don't we all?
Yeah, don't we all? We wish we could all be outdoorsmen forever, but that's just a hobby. And you know, as much as my wife hates me being in the woods constantly, I'm always gonna do it. So, with that being said, Jordan, why did you decide to start the Facebook page and YouTube page and everything?
Well, the Facebook page, that was kind of the beginning point. Me and Josh just randomly came up with this idea, and like, hey man, let's make a hunting page. You know, it's a passion of ours. Let's mess around with it. You know, first we started off with just simple photos, and then adding other people's harvesting, and honestly, it kind of grew, and we're learning as we go. And it's, I don't know, something just a little bit extra to add to the hunting experience. I like taking my time with getting photos afterwards of when you are lucky enough to harvest something, just to be able to share it. So
that's cool. Well, I'll add on to a little bit of that because, yeah, it was kind of one of those random ideas. You know, I happened to shoot a really nice buck a couple years ago, and I videotaped it all. I recorded it all on a GoPro. And from there, you know, I kind of made a video of it, and I was like, hey, Jordan, let's let's do a Facebook page, man. Let's just try this thing. And so we came up with Backyard Boys Outdoors, which is kind of, we're both homegrown Michigan boys, and we basically hunt in our backyard. I mean, I hunt 20 minutes from my house. I also hunt when I, 15, right out my parents' back door. Jordan, I know you hunt, just down the road from me, actually, and you're what, 10, 15 minutes away from home?
Yeah, not far away at all. All my
so
properties
we're both
within 30 minutes.
Yeah, we're both basically just hunting in our backyard, and we don't go on big adventures or anything like that. We'd love to. I know Jordan has gone on a couple more adventures than I have. The antelope there. But that's what I said. The backyard was kind of the whole deal of, we're both homegrown Michigan boys that love to hunt in our backyard, basically. And then from there, we kind of just started. We kind of just wanted to kind of take people along the ventures of what we're doing and how we're setting up, what we're doing to our properties, what we're seeing on our properties and stuff like that, just so everybody else, and if people had questions, they could ask them. And I know we've kind of in the last couple of years here, in the last year here, actually probably in the last few months here, we've kind of expanded now going into the YouTube world, which Jordan is a little bit more the YouTube guru than me.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So we're now starting that up. We're adding these podcasts. I'm doing some habitat work, and I'm going to take people on the adventure of the habitat work. Jordan does a great job filming some turkey hunts. He's bragging on me to get a better camera and stuff like that. So we're kind of getting there. We'll eventually get there, I think, where we kind of want to be. It's just little by little we keep expanding, but mainly it is just to kind of bring you, the listeners and the followers and everything like that, something different. I don't know. I don't really want to make it so it's like share your photos all the time. I want to explain why we're doing things. How did we get this, deer? What worked for us? What didn't work for us? So that you all can kind of relate or, whatever. So.
Yeah, we want to keep it as, as real as possible as we can, because a lot of people that we know are on our page. I mean, they don't have these huge pieces of land or property to hunt. So a lot of our parcels are smaller, and there's challenges that come with that. So, we like having that good community and talking and some different things that we're doing, and you guys learning from us, and we're learning from people on our page as well too.
I agree with that for sure. For the challenges part, Jordan, for instance, what's the parcel you hunt on? What the main bow hunting parcel you hunt on? How big is that?
That one is probably actually a bigger one than I have, and that's probably 60 to 80, I think, exactly.
And you face challenges. What are your challenges you face on that?
The biggest challenge is actually, as usual with Michigan hunting, is just pressure. Trying to keep people from coming out at prime times of hunting, and that are on the property, maybe that shouldn't be. So
that's okay. So that kind of elaborates. We're normal Michigan hunters. We don't have hundreds of acres. We're doing everything we have. Jordan's got a parcel that he's allowed to hunt. I just bought a new 30-acre parcel. It's 30 acres. It's not that big. I also hunt another 13-acre parcel. 13 acres where I shot my biggest buck with a 13 acres. It's different how you set stuff up, and it's different how you get onto the property. So that's why when we say we're going to keep it real, we're keeping it real with, hey, we're not hunting 300 acres in Iowa, 300 acres in Illinois, stuff like that. We're hunting small parcels in Michigan. It's difficult, So, with that being said, man, dude, you smacked a good turkey this year. Why don't you throw us through the game plan and everything, and talk to us how that went down?
Yeah, it was a pretty good turkey. 9-inch beard and 3/4 spurs. But it was a parcel that I hunted or got permission to hunt the year before. So I thought I kind of had a good idea of how the birds were moving through there. And so I set up exactly like I did the year before. Kind of got some woods / thick stuff surrounding the edges of the property, and then it kind of opens up into a farm field. I hunted it for three evenings until I finally got my bird, and they were talking all 3 evenings, but I just couldn't really fully get the hens and the toms to commit and work as quickly as I was hoping. The second evening, I finally kind of got them to come in, but man, I waited forever. It was just a slow walk, and thought I was set up at 30 yards and thought I was good to go with the crossbow, and shot and missed and hit low. So going into the third evening, I decided to pretty much jump right on the path that they had been moving. And then I just said, you know what, I'm not going to use decoys because these birds are familiar with it now. So I was worried about them being spooked or just not even coming in close. So I got all set up. It was a rainy evening, and for some reason it seemed like that 6:20, 6:40 p.m. that's when they really started going. So I kind of just stayed quiet, waited till then, and let out some yelps with our box call from Big Timber, and like instantly I had a hen just lose her mind and was yelping like crazy. So I let her do all the talking and just sat quiet, and next thing I know, I had 2 hens, and the turkey I ended up shooting coming across the field, and finally gave me an opportunity to shoot.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I see you posted that video. That hen was going crazy.
Yeah.
What happened with the film, man? You got the Tom come across the window, but what happened with the kill shot?
Well, that's one thing that me and Josh are learning in this is, man, self-filming is difficult. It's hard enough to have a successful hunt without filming, but when you add filming to it, it's just a whole nother challenge. Got a GoPro and the camcorder going, and then I have my small window of trying to get the turkeys in to shoot. So timing is everything, and unfortunately, I forgot to slide the camera to the right a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I heard the bow go, but didn't see the bird flop. You know. So he drop right there?
No, nope. The shot was a little bit back, so he went for a run across the field, and I quickly got out of the blind and was fortunate enough to find him just inside the woods. So he probably went 60, 70 yards.
So you shot him with your crossbow, and
Yep.
he
Yeah.
went 60, 70 yards, huh? That's not bad. I heard some people that shot some with their bow this year that they've went on some chases with them. So you're not the only one.
No, I think I'll be going back to the shotgun next year.
Yeah, yeah. So do you normally use a decoy then?
Yeah, yep. I usually we made a homemade decoy, and I don't know, probably total cost it was around $75. So a little bit cheaper than a lot of the other decoys out on the market, and it was just fun to make. So that's what I like to use, and usually I'll have him out in the evenings with a hen, and then in the mornings sometimes I just like to just simply use that tom decoy.
Nice, cool, bud. So what were we looking at with the beard? How big was the beard?
Oh, it was around 9.5 inches.
9.5. Good spurs on it, or
3/4, so they're all right.
Good bird, good Michigan bird. And that's what you started 3 years ago turkey hunting?
4 years. 4 years ago, but the last 3 years I've gotten a turkey. So.
Yep. I was gonna say you're on a 3 year in a row bag right now, man.
Gotta keep a streak up.
You gotta keep the streak up. So, yeah. So mine has been interesting. I've actually called in 3 birds this year, man. I've been on a roll. I'm trying to get my 4th one from my dad here. But mine started with mine. I figured you know what? I got this new 30 acres. I'm gonna hunt this new 30 acres. I usually hunt some other parcels, but it seemed like it was more difficult to find parcels this year. I feel like everybody was hunting this year. So I was like, well, I'll try the new 30, and got out there on the first morning. Man, it was cold that opening morning. It was a bitter cold, and got out there. And my brother, he actually lives not too far away from my property, and he'd heard tons of birds gobbling on roost every morning. So we were pretty confident that we were probably going to be able to get something off a roost, and got down into the woods, sat there, nothing. Didn't hear a gobble, nothing. I'm like, man, this is, dude, you said you heard all these gobbles and stuff, and nothing. We never heard a bird that morning. I think I got done at 9:30, and we didn't even hear a single bird. And I was a little discouraged a little bit. I was like, man, but he kept on telling me they're there. We know they're there. So we went back Monday morning after opener, and got out there, and we had seen tracks as we were walking back to his house, and were on the north side of my parcel in the road there. So we were like, you know what, let's set up on the north side. We set up on the north side, waited until daybreak, and heard some gobblers, but they were way across the road on the other parcel across the road. And I mean, they were back away. So we actually moved back down and, sat there and, tried to call at them, and they would gobble. But there was a lot of them. It seemed like there was probably 4 or 5 birds up in roost. And, they kept on talking up in roost. And all of a sudden, once they got out of roost, they were quiet. Never heard another bird. And so we kind of just walked the property a little bit, calling, nothing. Again, nothing. And again, kind of starting to get discouraged. So as we were heading back, we checked one of the fields that was across the road, and we both noticed that there was a tom over there. And so we called at him, he gobbled. And so we worked him for a bit, but he was henned up and he wasn't coming. So again, we decided, well, we're going to call it. There's nothing coming. And so we headed back, and we got back to his place, and I was like, well, you know what? I was going to do some work at the property anyway. So I was going to head down to the property, and I figured, well, I'll drive to that field and see what's in that field first. And so I went past my driveway in my woods and drove up a little bit, and I could see that there was a solo tom out in that field. And then there was another one that was coming towards the property. So I quickly turned around, parked the truck, threw on my vest and grabbed the call and ran across the property and sat up kind of on the just on the outside edge of my property. And I knew where that bird was going to be. There's a power line there, and I knew he was going to come down that power line if I called him and into my woods. And so I let out a call, and sure enough, man, he lit up, and I knew he was coming. And so I just kind of sat there and didn't call much. Again, I called a little bit more with the mouth call, and he gobbled. And this time he was across the road already, and he was coming. And sure enough, I saw him out of along the power lines there, and he come strutting into the woods, got about 20 yards, and I dusted him, man. It was a quick hunt, and like Jordan said, when you're self-filming, like I would have had no chance to film. I mean, he by the time I called, he was there. So that was my bird. And he was 9 3/4 inch beard, and then he had 1.5 spurs. So he had some big old daggers on him, which was kind of cool. First bird off the property. It was kind of sweet, but yeah, that was exciting there. And then a couple days, about a week later, I called in a bird for my brother on the 30 as well. Again, we had worked some birds and nothing. And so then we had a couple encounters with them, except a couple encounters with another bird, and we just could not get them off the hens, and we couldn't get them into range. And matter of fact, I think we called the same bird in twice, and he just would not commit. And then I had 2 toms across the road, about 300 yards away, and they just were all henned up and weren't committing. And so again, it was kind of weird. We kind of just gave up. He went home. I did some work on the property. I was doing some bedding stuff. I had to clear some stuff in the bedding, cut up some trees, and I went back to my gear, kind of grabbed the binoculars, looked across the field. I noticed that those toms were kind of working their way into the middle of that field. And so I texted my brother. I said, hey, get down here, dude. I think I can get these birds across the road. And so he jumped on the quad, met me down at the property, and within 20 minutes, I had those birds across the road and onto my property, and he shot his. So another crazy experience of getting those birds to come across the property. I mean, it was weird how these birds are working, but so then my season wasn't done yet. I love calling for people, man. I think it's a blast, and I think Jordan, you concur because I think you've been taking some people out too. You know,
Yeah,
it's not.
it's fun getting yourself a bird, but man, it's almost more of a joy once you help someone else succeed in hunting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean I love calling my own birds in, but I think it's even better watching somebody, especially a newbie, you know, and that's kind of where I was at with my
Yeah,
mom. My mom had never shot a bird, and she had decided this year she was going to do some turkey hunting. I had decided that I knew there was some more birds on my property, but I decided that I kind of wanted to give my property a rest and not really take any more birds off. So we had permission on some other properties, and so I set up with my mom and dad on a property they had permission for, and again, I got some birds calling right out of roost, and it was kind of crazy. I mean, I don't usually use decoys, but if I do use a decoy, I use the same one Jordan was talking about. It's kind of a flat fan decoy with just the front of the bird looking, and it stakes into the ground. And I tell you what, I don't put a hen with it. I don't do anything. I just put that out there, and it's usually only out of roost that I'll do that,
yep.
and those birds usually come right for it. So I did that. I set up that tom with the fan out about 30 yards from my mom. Had those birds gobbling on roost, and I kind of worked them in right out of roost. They came right exactly the way I wanted them to. It came right out of the corner. We should have had a double. Mom, again, not experienced as, you know, being the first time hunter, and she would have let that bird come a little farther, which it was going to. You know, it wasn't spooked or anything. There was another one right behind it, and so Dad and her both could have doubled up. But again, it was Mom getting her first bird. It was a great experience. I mean, I know I have that video out there. Not the greatest video, but I tell you what, you can see my excitement. You can see her excitement. It was great. My dad cried. My mom
Yeah,
cried. It was
your
weird,
mom your,
but
your mom was speechless.
yeah, you know, so it was just so exciting to be a part of that adventure, and to watch her get her first bird and to actually be the one to call that bird in. So again, I'm not done yet though. I got my dad I might call for. Hopefully we can get a lift off of this same time. I'm kind of not really following direction, but so I don't know. I'm still out there trying to call for people. How about you, man? Are you still calling for people?
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying to arrange some hunts with a buddy and my dad, but we'll see. It's just getting a time set up. But you make some good points with those morning hunts, man. Everyone says evening hunts are tough, but I think mornings are just as tough. If you can't get those birds right off the roost, they seem to really quiet down. You know, every 20 minutes or so, you might hear a gobble just to know exactly where they are. But to really pull them in, it seems like they don't start coming in until, like, you know, the late mornings, early evenings, which you've preached to me a bunch about, that being the best time to hunt. And it's just a very good point.
Yeah, I think I've shot probably 75% of my birds that late morning, like 10, from 10 to 2 in the afternoon. You know, that window of my time frame, I've probably shot 75% of my birds in that time frame, man. Just for one, I mean, I don't know about some of you, but I don't like getting up at 4:30 in the morning sometimes, you know. And so
Agreed.
if I can get out there at 10 o'clock and get a bird gobbling, because usually if I can get a bird gobbling around that 10:30, 11 o'clock time, that usually means that the hens have gone to the nest, and she's laying that egg or she's sitting on that nest for her period of time. Well, that Tom, he'll usually follow her, but he kind of starts venturing out a little bit more. He'll start looking for other hens, which you know, I've always had my best success during that time when I could pull those toms away from them. Because I tell you what, one morning that I sat with my mom, I had a tom coming. He was coming right out of roost, but he had to go a long ways. Well, little did I know there was a hen that was probably roosting 100 yards from me, and she went right between me and that tom. And again, I didn't hear from that tom again. She cut me right off, you know. And so it's tough. It's tough getting them out of roost unless you can basically get right underneath the roost. And I know a lot of people that do get right underneath the roost, but it's tough to do.
Yeah.
you know, and you got to have that wood that they're roosting in, or you're going to be waiting a while.
Yep. All comes down to, scouting, and it doesn't matter how good of a caller you are. You can put hours and hours into practicing, but when they have the real thing coming in front of them, a hen, and that's just going to steal their attention, and it's going to be really hard for anybody to pull them in, especially if you're using decoys and you're not stalking them.
Yeah. Yeah. I've shot a handful of stalking too. So, you know, you're just getting into it. You've had a lot of those birds. You know, I think all your birds have been night birds, haven't they?
Yeah, I got 2 in the evening right now and 1 in the morning, and
Two in the evening?
I'm jumping on the stalking bandwagon. I'm getting there.
Yeah, you're starting to do a little bit more running and gunning.
Yep, yep.
Well, that's my preferred method, dude. I love the running and gunning. You know, some people like to just sit in the ground blinds and wait. You know, whereas I don't like to wait, man. I'm gonna go look for the birds. I'm gonna find them, and if I can get a bird to talk, you know, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna play that bird. You know, I've always, like I said, I've always had really good success running and gunning. Yeah. Every now and then you'll be calling, and if you're running and gunning, you'll be calling, and no bird will talk, and then you walk, you know, 50 yards, and boom, there was a bird right there. It happened. You know, sometimes those birds just aren't talking. You know, and you do spook. I mean, I've never had a problem coming back a couple days later and calling that same bird in. You know, but what I do is I switch my calls around. I won't use the same call. So if I was using a mouthpiece raspy hen, I'll switch it over to something else. You know, so that they don't hear that same call. So
Yeah, you got to give them that variety.
Yeah, I know, and I try to do that as much. You know, if I've called at a bird so many times and they just won't come to a certain call, I'll switch it up and add a different call. You know, I prefer the mouth calls, and I've been running the slates. You know, I know you've been running that box call. Do you run the mouth calls too?
Yeah, actually, on those evening hunts, it was like every other evening. The first evening I would use that box call, and they were talking to it, and then went into evening 2, and it was like they didn't want to respond to that, so I would switch to the diaphragm, and that just a little bit of a different noise to it, man. They just catch right onto it. They're like, oh, that's something new. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool. That's cool. Hey, you got a picture of that box call right there?
I would actually have to go grab it real quick, but it wouldn't take me very long if you want me to grab it.
No, that's no big deal. How about you, decoy? You got that right there?
Nope.
No.
I can go grab them though.
Jeez, man, what the heck? No, that's
I'll
all right.
go.
I got one. I'm gonna show everybody the one that I like. And again, I'm not trying to push anything. We do have a sponsorship with Big Timber. So we do promote their stuff. But again, I'm not trying to push anything. And I have been turkey hunting. Let's see, like I said, I've probably been turkey hunting for 20 some years. You know, and I've shot a lot of birds, a lot of mouth calls. But I'm going to tell you right now, this year I have been so infatuated with this slate call, the double trouble. And the reason I'm infatuated is 2 calls in 1. You know, so I got the glass on the front side here, and then on the back side I have the slate. Okay, and this slate is loud. I mean, I can rip this slate and I can cover some ground with it. So those birds that were 300 yards across that open field, I hit that slate side and I just ripped it. You know, and those birds heard that. I mean, yeah, they can hear stuff, but it was cutting through wind, cutting through an open field, and those birds responded to it. And it came. You know, and so I just, you know, I'm telling you right now, I'm in love with this slate call. Yes, I still will use my mouth diaphragm. I always have my mouth diaphragms in, but I'm starting to fall in love with this slate call. Which I mean, again, I'm not trying to push anything, but if you are looking for a slate, I would. I mean, 2 slates in 1. I mean, I would definitely say, hey, this slate is something sweet, dude.
Yeah. They got a couple others on the market too. Like I used the Widowmaker, and honestly, I got to practice more with my slate call. I like using it early in the morning, just for some tree yelps.
Yep.
But after
I do a lot of soft stuff with it, man, in the morning.
Yep.
And it really gets those birds fired up.
after that, I mean, I like using the box call to locate my birds. I'm a little better technique wise with it, and that it is very loud. But same with Josh, I always have the diaphragm call handy, just because one, your hands free, so it makes getting ready to shoot a bird a lot easier instead of picking things up and putting them down.
Do you finish your birds with your mouth call then?
Yeah, yep,
No, that's what I do. I finish my like most of my birds I've had come in with the slate, and to reduce my movement, I'll drop that slate and finish that bird off with a mouth call, just to kind of. But again, I don't call very much. I will call, and once I know that bird's coming, I kind of go silent because I'm not using a decoy, and so I want that bird to come in to where my sound was and look for that hen. So if I had a hen decoy out, I've always, if I've used decoys, I've always noticed that those birds will hang up sometimes, out of range, because they see that decoy and they just want that, especially now, when they're, during this time of season when they want those hens to come to them.
yep.
And so I've always kind of just, you know, little calling, little calling, and what's the saying? Little is more, basically. So I've always, but again, it's all you gotta learn. You gotta practice. It's not, you can't just pick up a call and just be like, oh man, I'm gonna be a turkey hunter. You gotta practice. And Jordan will tell you, like I said, him and I, him and I went out one time, and he kind of watched what I did, some stuff, and I know he's still learning on his calls, and but you know what, he's at it, and I know he works his butt off calling because he's practicing constantly.
When I first had my calls, I was sending videos to Josh, and I was like, "Hey, how's this rhythm sound, or how's this tone?" Trying the tree yelps and regular yelps and purrs and stuff. So, and each bird's gonna react different. Some might like a bunch of calling, and like with my success, once I got that hen going, I just stayed pretty much quiet and I let her do the work because I can't beat her natural calling. So.
No, and that's the thing is, if you can get a live hen to get calling like that, man, they work them in for you basically, and I don't know if some of you that have ever heard a hen actually talk, they sound horrible. It doesn't even sound like your mouth call, your slate call. They're raspy as all heck, and it's like, man, that Tom responded to that, and here I am trying to sound pristine,
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
so I mean, you think that, man, I got to be the perfect caller. Well, not on all actuality. You still have to have that rhythm, and you still got to get that. But if you can get a bird to talk with that, with a call, stay with that call. Don't change it. Don't be like, I got him to gobble on my mouth call. Now I'm gonna go to my slate call real quick and rip a couple out of my slate. No, if he's gobbling that mouth call, he likes that. Stay with it.
Yeah.
And I think I found that to be true.
So we pretty much we covered our main topics today, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we kind of filled everybody in of who we are, and why we started everything in our 2020 turkey season. Is there anything else you want to add?
I ain't got too much. We got some ideas in the books for you guys, though, coming up with this the podcast and doing this on Zoom. But if you guys want to add some comments in here of something that maybe you're struggling with or have just some questions about, go ahead and comment on here, and me and Josh will look it over and try to put something together for you.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I've already talked to Nick Nation, who is the creator of the Habitat Hook. If none of you know what that is, that's a hinging tool or a tree pushing tool. If you don't hinge, you don't have to hinge. And he's based out of Michigan here, and he also has a small parcel in Michigan that he hunts. I got a hold of him, and he's agreed to do one of these as well with us. So hopefully we'll have him, and then we'll get some other guests as well. And just kind of, like I said, it's going to be just this informal podcast, talking outdoors. If you want to see something else other than hunting, or if you want to see, like Jordan says, anything specific, let us know. Give us your comments and let us know what you like, what you don't like. Give us your feedback. That'd be much appreciated. So With that being said, Jordan, any last words?
Nope, I'm good. I
All
hope
right.
everybody in
Well,
hope everybody in Michigan does have a fantastic rest of the season. I guess so. Finish off strong.
yeah, if you haven't got your bird yet, hopefully you get one. You got what, 2 weeks left to get one here, and hopefully you can knock one down. So thanks for joining us on our first episode of our outdoor informal podcast. So again, we'll be bringing you some more stuff. So take care, everybody.